It's time for Right Wing, Wrong Thoughts, where we cover the dumb and or dishonest moments from conservatives, Republicans, and other right-wingers. Enjoy. So on Friday, January 28th, President Biden was scheduled to visit Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to discuss infrastructure with the public. Now, hours before he arrived, in a moment of terrifying irony, a bridge in Pittsburgh collapsed. Now, thankfully, nobody was killed, but 10 people were injured, and 4 of them had to be taken to the hospital. Now, of all the coverage this story got, the dumbest, by far, predictably, came from Fox News, specifically a program called Outnumbered, and one of its 4 hosts, Julie Banderas. Let's hear what she had to say.
Fairy tales. I love fairy tales. I mean, but normally I only enjoy them when it's during a bedtime story in the evening, not on a daily basis for the past year since the White House has been overrun by Democrats. But President Biden has been making promises over promises over promises. And as you've noticed, none of them have come true. And when a president makes promises and then doesn't deliver, and then something like this where a bus, I mean, there could have been multiple casualties. So thank God nobody was killed. But honestly, a bridge collapsing right before back in June of 2021, he started talking about his bipartisan infrastructure deal. There's nothing bipartisan about it. If it was bipartisan, it would have been passed by now. So clearly he's not getting the message across to the other side of the aisle, which, by the way, if you remember, during his campaign, he said that he was going to be the president that was going to reach across the aisle, that he was actually going to make policy by reaching out to Republicans. That clearly has not happened.
That might have been the biggest fairy tale of them all.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
So this is really awkward, but there was a lot wrong with everything she said. Starting with the fact that the infrastructure bill did pass in November 2021, $1.2 trillion. It was signed into law by the president, and I guess the only thing bipartisan about it was the bipartisan votes it got, specifically 19 Republican senators and 13 Republican representatives. Not a lot, but when you consider the fact that the Republican Party is pretty much obstructionist on virtually everything, and some of their leaders, like Mitch McConnell, have publicly declared their intention to obstruct the Biden administration, the fact that Biden was able to get any sort of Republican support is really impressive. Now, Mrs. Banderas went to Twitter, and she tried to walk this back. She said, I misspoke. I was referring to the president touting the bipartisan bill back in June, and here we are today, and nothing has improved. Hence the bridge collapse in Pittsburgh. Our roads remain a mess. Another failed campaign promise despite the GOP's help to pass the bill. Now, this is interesting. So she's blaming the collapse of the Fern Hollow Bridge, which happened on Friday, on President Biden, okay? But the bipartisan infrastructure bill passed in November, okay? 8 weeks ago, 2 months ago. So I don't know what the hell she was expecting in terms of disbursement of resources and funds, let alone the actual physical repair work that has to go into fixing the roads and repairing the bridges and so on and so forth. But it's going to take a hell of a lot longer than 2 months, 8 weeks. In terms of Biden failing to deliver on certain promises, every president does, but President Biden has been able to fulfill many of the promises that he's made. For example, he said he was going to get us out of Afghanistan, and he did. He said he was going to get 100 million shots in arms, and he did. In fact, he got 200 million in his first 100 days. And he also said he was going to pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill, which he did. So if you do want to look at failed campaign promises, and specifically ones that would be relevant to what happened in Pittsburgh, you might wind the clock back and look at President Trump, who promised over the 4 years he was in office to pass an infrastructure bill, and he failed, despite the fact that the Republican Party held majorities in the Senate and the House for the first 2 years Trump was in office. So he failed for 4 years, and Biden succeeded in less than 1. So what do we have here? Well, we have right wing, wrong thought. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Now, we're looking to grow the channel as aggressively as possible this year, so if you haven't yet, we'd really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and follow us on any or all of our social media pages. The links are below. And whether you agree or disagree with the contents of this particular video, you are welcome to leave a comment, because we are always open to constructive feedback and discourse. And on that note, I look forward to pondering politics and pop culture again with you real soon.